What you are about to hear is not from the imagination, but from mysterious files and official reports, and a case that has baffled American police for years. The official report is thick with dust now. It sits in a cold, forgotten corner of the county precinct. The file number is faded. The pages inside are yellowed and brittle. They tell a story that has no ending. It's a story the police want to forget, a story the community can't. This is the case of Linda Parker, a woman who vanished from her own home. She disappeared without a trace. Her last known moments were captured in a frantic phone call, a call that still sends a chill down the spine of anyone who hears it. What happened inside that house on KO Road? The year was 2010. The town was a quiet, sleepy place. The kind of place where everyone knows their neighbors. Or so they thought. On KO Road, in a small rented house, lived a woman named Linda Parker. She was 42 years old. She worked from home as a medical transcriptionist. Her life was a simple, predictable routine. She rarely had visitors. She rarely went out. To most people, she was just a face in the window. A fleeting glimpse of a life lived behind closed doors. She was a ghost long before she disappeared. Linda had moved to the town 3 years earlier. She came seeking peace and quiet. Her days were spent in front of a computer screen. Her nights were spent in silence. But was she truly alone? Her neighbors had a name for her. They called her the softest shadow. You could pass her on the street and not even notice her. She moved with a quiet, hesitant grace. She always kept her head down. Her eyes were always fixed on the pavement. One neighbor, Mrs. Gable, remembered her tending a small patch of roses, but always at dusk. When the light was fading, it was as if she was allergic to the sun, allergic to being seen. Neighbors only noticed the faint click-clack of a keyboard late at night, the soundtrack of a life lived in the margins, a life that was about to be erased completely. It was just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon on October 12th, 2010. The 911 dispatch center received a call. The connection was poor. The voice on the other end was a woman. She was whispering. She was terrified. The caller was Linda Parker. She was calling from inside her house. She was pleading for help. She couldn't or wouldn't say what was wrong. The fear in her voice was real. It was palpable. "I need help," she whispered. Linda gave KO Road as her address. The dispatcher asked what the emergency was. Was someone in the house with her? Her last online entry had been 2 words. "He's here." Who was he? No one knew. "Please, you have to send someone," she said. The dispatcher tried to keep her on the line, then a click. The line went dead. The call lasted just under 2 minutes. "You can't have it! It's not for you!" Those were the last words anyone heard Linda Parker speak. Officers arrived within minutes expecting a domestic dispute. What they found was different. They called Linda's name. Silence. They checked doors and windows, all locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry. They forced the door. The lock gave way with a loud crack. The door swung open to a dark, silent living room. The air inside was still and cold. Everything looked normal, untouched, except for one thing. Linda Parker was gone. She had vanished. The crime scene investigators arrived. They began to process the house, looking for any clue, any sign of a struggle, any hint of what had happened to Linda. The house was pristine, too clean. The only fingerprints belonged to Linda. It was as if whoever took her had erased any trace of themselves. Then they found the carvings, etched into the plaster on the wall that faced the front door. Intricate, bizarre, geometric spirals and interlocking symbols. They looked ancient, almost tribal. They photographed and logged everything. The carvings were fresh, plaster dust still on the floor. There was a word crudely scratched into the wall. Liar. As the investigation continued into the evening, something strange began to happen. The officers at the scene started to hear faint sounds, creaks, groans, a whisper. One young officer heard it clearly, a soft, sibilant whisper, too faint to make out words but undeniably human. He called out. The whisper stopped. Then, minutes later, it came again. Closer, right behind him. They searched attic and basement, put microphones in the walls and vents. The mics recorded nothing, no source. The official report suggested auditory pareidolia, a trick of the mind. But the officers who were there insist it was real. They know what they heard. It was a voice, a whisper in the dark. a chilling echo of the terror that had unfolded here hours before. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. The investigation stalled. No suspects, no leads, no body. They interviewed landlord, mailman, former colleagues, everyone who might know something. No one could help. The case was moved to cold case. But one detective never closed it in his mind. Every theory, cult, stalker, lover's quarrel, hit a brick wall. They chased ritual leads and shadowy figures. Nothing fit cleanly with the evidence in the house. Her purse, her keys, her car, all left behind. This was not a planned departure. They sealed the house. The trail went cold. The whispering voice was never heard again. Today, more than a decade later, the house on KO Road still stands. Windows boarded, paint peeling, a chain-link fence surrounds the property. It is a place the town tries to ignore. The case of Linda Parker now lives in local legend, a ghost story told to scare teenagers. Yet the cold case file sits on a shelf waiting for a new lead. The strange carvings remain, a message no one can fully read. The word liar still echoes on that wall, a scream in plaster. The house guards its secrets under a faded no trespassing sign. On quiet nights, if you stand by the fence, people say you can still hear a woman whispering. No one knows what happened to Linda Parker. Her file sits in the cold case unit. The house waits. It guards its secrets. A mystery that began and ended inside the house on KO Road.